So apparently this movie was a Star Wars script that was turned down by Lucasfilm, and Netflix ended up buying it. And after watching this movie, I'm just like, I can see why it was turned down. And welcome to my safe Gaven, everybody. Thank you guys so much for clicking on another video and joining me here on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel. If this happens to be your first time checking out my channel, checking out one of my videos, first and foremost, let me say thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to possibly entertain you. So let me introduce myself really quickly. My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek, and I always say the things that I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the Force. I like to talk about all things fantasy, and of course I like to talk about black representation and queer representation. So if that's something that you are interested in, if you think representation matters, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, allow me to continue to grow my channel. And if you could do me a favor, it's free, it doesn't cost a thing. If you could hit that like button, it'll really help with the YouTube algorithm, getting this video out there, getting my channel out there, and allow my channel to continue to grow. As I always say, watch for the watch time, like, share, comment, interact for the all gay rhythm. Guys, we are here to talk about Zack Snyder's next biggest epic movie, apparently epic, that is now hitting Netflix, the newest Netflix original movie. I've been seeing so much promo for this movie, and Netflix is definitely hoping this is going to be their Star Wars, and it is called Rebel Moon Part 1, because Part 2 is coming out in April of 2024. And strangely enough, I heard that even though this movie was released, Zack Snyder's also going to release a director's cut of this first movie, which doesn't make any sense because I'm like, it's already on streaming. Usually when movies do director's cut, it's when it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD. We're not getting, anyway, I don't know. But anyway, the synopsis for Rebel Moon Part 1 is, when a colony on the edge of the galaxy finds itself threatened by the armies of the tyrannical Regent Belisarius, they dispatch a young woman with a mysterious past to seek out warriors from neighboring planets to help them take a stand. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, it's called Rebel Moon Part 1, Child of Fire. Ooh. And this movie is about 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I do gotta say, let me get this out of the way, that rhyme, because I think for the most part, my review is mostly going to be negative. Not like all negative. Like, obviously, it's not the worst movie of the year or anything like that. But let me say this. When it comes to visual performance or visual directing, we all say all the time, Zack Snyder knows how to paint a picture on the movie screen. He knows how to, like, center and put together a good shot for the screen. Like, visually, this movie looks incredible. And in terms of the framing of this universe and the lore, there's definitely a lot of universe. There's definitely a lot of elements that you would find this world to be interesting. And you can definitely tell it is a fully fleshed out world. And in terms of like the shots and the action sequence, like the action sequences were definitely fun overall. But that's really it. Like, it was all, what's the word I'm trying to use? It was basically, to throw in a nutritional reference, because I am starting to get a little hungry, it was all calories, no nutrition. Like, when it came to everything that was going on, even from the like first half hour of the movie, things were just happening in this world, but I had absolutely no connection or caring or anything with regard to the characters that I'm being introduced to. You have your main character, Cora, who's played by Sofia Boutella. She was actually the mummy in the recent Mummy movie with Tom Cruise. That movie was terrible. And she's the main character, but like, you don't really start to learn about her character really until towards the end of the movie. So you don't really start to care about her really until the end of the movie. But then by then the movie is over, and so it's just like. And granted, obviously we know we're getting a part 2, but unlike something like an Infinity War, where you had Infinity War Endgame, where you knew Infinity War was part 1 and then Endgame was part 2, Infinity War still felt like a one movie in and of itself. Or like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That was a part 1, but even though it ended on a cliffhanger, I could still watch Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and still enjoy it as one movie. Granted, I still want the conclusion, but I still enjoy it and got a like kind of a beginning, middle, and end, kinda, with regards to the movie, and can still enjoy it in that sense. But with this movie, by the time I got to the end, I'm just like, I feel like this first movie was just all set up. There was really no real conclusion. At least with Spider-Verse, they still had some conclusions and things with the characters, and you got invested to the characters that we learned about, but you didn't really learn anything about any of these characters. And then going into like the synopsis of what I mentioned with the movie, where you had the character Sophia Boutella Cora, her homeland was being threatened by this tyrannical government. Think of them as the Empire, being that this was supposed to be a Star Wars movie. Think of them as the Empire. And so she's going around to other planets to try to seek help from the quote-unquote rebels, people that are, you know, hence the title Rebel Moon, people that are threatening to take out and go against the Empire. So she's looking for these so-called rebels to help her fight. And it almost feels like a video game fetch quest, where it's like she goes to one planet, she picks up a person, she goes to another planet, she picks up another person, she goes to another planet, she picks up another person, and then we get to the end conclusion where they fight. And it was just like, it felt very thin. It felt very hollow. All of these characters that she went to go pick up, we don't really learn anything about them. We just learn their names. And one character we find out is actually a prince, but we don't learn that until the end of the movie. And then they kind of gloss over it. And like, there are a lot of moments in this movie where it looks visually incredible, but you end up going, what was the point of that? Like, for example, there's this one character where he's riding basically like a hippogriff, what it looks like a Harry Potter reference. But then at the end of it, once it's over, like that scene looked great. And then the guy that was riding the hippogriff, he was shirtless. He had the abs popping, the chest popping. He was like swish bam pow, like pow, pow, pow. And this is how you know this movie was uninteresting to me, because he was shirtless and I was just like, I wasn't like thirsting over here. I was like, oh, that man, because he was good looking, but I was still just like, why? Like, what is the point of this? And then like you thought it would like have played more into the story, but it didn't. And again, like a lot of these moments, you could tell he's saving it for part two, because there was a character that, speaking of thin characters, one of the characters that actually I was really invested in, and I thought we were going to follow throughout most of the movie, was this robot character voiced by Anthony Hopkins. And not to give any spoilers away, but like they really dive more into like that character and his story, and you learn more about him. And we don't see him for the rest of the movie, only for him to really show up at the end to be like, oh, this character's coming back in part two. And then even to the point that if you look at the poster of this movie, this character is on the poster, but we don't see him outside of like the first 20 minutes of the movie. Why are you on the poster? Obviously, you're going to come back for part two, but you're not relevant in part one, so who cares? And that was a character I was invested in. I would have rather followed him most of the movie as opposed to these other characters. These other characters I don't care about. I didn't care about. And so because I didn't care about any of these characters, I didn't care about any of the stakes associated with these characters. Like a lot of times when you're playing video games, you're watching a movie, a TV show, you're reading a comic book, you care about what's going on. You care about the action. You care about the threat, the looming threat of the villain, because you care about the character. You're just like, oh my God, how are they going to overcome this villain? Like, these stakes seem incredible. Like, I care about it and I'm invested in these characters. It's the same thing with like, you think about the Hunger Games, where you think about Battle of the Song and Fire or whatever. Snow specifically said the reason people are tuning out of the Hunger Games is because you're not giving them a reason to be invested. Make them care about the tributes. Then they're going to start betting on the tributes. Now they're invested in the Hunger Games because they want their tribute to win. And you didn't really get that with regards to these characters. I wasn't invested in any of them. And on top of that, storytelling 101, Zack Snyder did a lot of telling with regards to these characters' backstories and not showing. And yeah, technically in some ways he did show us with regards to like Sophia Boutella's character. We got a lot of flashbacks with her character, but it was still flashbacks in a way that he was still telling instead of actually showing. Like, show me her connection to these characters. Show me her connection to this world. Show me her connection to this looming empire threat. Show me her connection to these rebels. and everything like that. Don't just tell me in a flashback, but then don't do anything with it. Because the whole time we were getting that flashback, it was mostly just her narrating, but that was really it. So it didn't really add anything with regards to my investment to her. And then not only just that, but Zack Snyder, I don't know why, but he loves him some slow-mo cam. And he did some of this in like 300 where like, you know, there's action sequences and almost kind of like the Matrix bullet time where the camera slows down and you get to see everything that's happening. But of course, now we got 4K cameras and 4K, so you get to really see everything. And it looks great. And it really does add a lot to the visual elements, but he overdoes it. It seems like every 2 seconds or every 3 seconds, every 5 seconds, he's injecting that slow-mo cam. And it's almost like if I eat ice cream every day, then ice cream's not a dessert for me. At a certain point, I get sick of it. And that's basically what he did. I'm doing a lot of food references. I'm definitely hungry, but like, he was doing that literally like almost every 5 seconds. It was slow, like something is happening, slow-mo. And the crazy thing about it, it wasn't even like he was only doing it during action sequences. Like the character could just be walking and then he started doing slow-mo. Talking, like the character's jumping, slow-mo, like whatever. At every single moment that he felt like he could do, he injected a slow-mo moment. It was just like, all right, the novelty of this is wearing off and it's starting to get annoying. Like, don't just do it just because you can. Do it because you feel like you have a reason. And I feel like he did it because I felt like he did it not because of inspiration. He did it because he felt like he could do it, not because he felt like he needed to do it for the purpose of the storyline. And so with that said, like, as I was watching the movie, there was a lot of moments where I was just like, how much longer do we have with this movie? We have a whole nother hour. Like, if a movie is good, I could sit through a 4-hour movie and be like, I'm just like, wait, it's over? Give me more. Like, Wolf of Wall Street was like 3-something hours, but I was still invested in Wolf of Wall Street. Avengers Endgame was 3 hours, and I was still invested in Avengers Endgame. Black Panther Wakanda Forever was almost 3 hours, and I was invested in every second of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. But with this movie, I was just like... Now, like I said, with that said, I didn't hate this movie. And because I did say, like, in terms of the world in and of itself, like, I'm invested in the lore of this world. And then plus it's on Netflix, it's free. So I'm still invested to check out part 2 because I do want to see the conclusion. And then also, like I mentioned, that robot character that didn't really have a role in this first movie. I want to see more of him in part 2. I enjoyed that character. So I could definitely see the potential of this world. I just wish it was handled by at least somebody else should have wrote the script. Let Zack Snyder direct it, but give the script to somebody else to let them flesh out these characters and flesh out the world. And that, I feel like, and people keep saying it time and time again, that is Zack Snyder's biggest weakness. Writing a script, coming up with cohesive and fleshed out and nuanced and thrilling characters. That was my problem with BVS. That was my problem with Man of Steel. That was my problem with Justice League. And now that's my problem with Rebel Moon. And so for me, I mean, if you want to see an interesting world and interesting visuals and you don't have anything else to do, I would say check out Rebel Moon. It's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, it's free. It's not like you got to go out to the theaters or anything like that. But if this movie was in theaters, I would be like, wait till it goes to streaming. But it's already on streaming. So I would say check it out. And then there are people that enjoy the movie. So just because I don't like it doesn't mean you don't like it. This is just my opinion. You're on my channel for my opinion. So let me know if you check it out. Let me know what your thoughts. But with that said, that is how I felt about Rebel Moon. It was just like, take it or leave it. Whatever. I watched it. I don't feel like I wasted my time. But I'd have been better off because I'm going through I'm listening to the audiobook to finish Percy Jackson. I'm like, I'd have been better off finishing the Percy Jackson books. But whatever, it is what it is. I watched it. But the question is, have you guys checked out Rebel Moon Part 1? What did you think about it? Are you invested? Did you like it more than me? Did you hate it more than me? Did you feel the same way as me? Are you interested in checking out Part 2? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below for the algorithm. Again, watch, like, share, comment, interact for the all gay rhythm. And if this is one of your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. Tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.